The 2-week sessions confuse everybody, but here's the deal. They put you on a master calendar for each judge. Each judge has 2-week sessions every 6 weeks. On the calendar, there's about 100 or 150 cases on their 2-week session calendar. That does not mean that you're gonna have court during that 2 weeks. What that means is you're on the session.
In Brunswick County, the way cases get scheduled for family court is a notice of hearing is set to schedule with a certain judge, whichever judge your case is assigned to, about a week or so prior to the time in which the case is going to potentially be heard. All of the attorneys or litigants that aren't represented by attorneys participate in what's called a calendar call. A calendar call, the judge runs through the list of all the cases that are set for that session, speaks with the attorneys or the litigants themselves to see what issues need to be heard, if any. If nothing needs to be heard, then a date in the future is picked. However, if a hearing is being requested, typically the judge will make note of it, look through everything after calendar call is over, and set their lineup for their week of trials.
In Onslow County, we get notice of what judges have what court dates available, and these are divided into sessions that are either 1 or 2 weeks long, depending on the subject matter. And you put in calendar requests to be placed on those calendars. Whether or not your case is going to get heard is dependent on what priority your case falls on the calendar. The biggest thing being how old the case is.
So 2-week sessions in Hanover County is an interesting concept. So we're fortunate enough to have trial court administrators, which are basically the court's right hand and a staff member who does their calendaring for them. And so every case that gets filed gets assigned to a judge, and we have one family, one judge rule here in New Hanover County. So what that means is when you file a custody action, for instance, that judge that you get assigned to will always be your judge for so long as they're on the bench. And so that judge's calendar then gets your case added to it. And the court picks what cases are going to be on this 2-week session, and we get them typically once a month. And so we will get these 2-week sessions, which will have the vast majority of the judges' pending cases that are eligible to be heard during that 2-week period. And then the attorneys from both sides of the case, the clients from both sides of the case, any experts we have, we submit conflicts to the court. And we're basically asking the court not to schedule our case that day, but here's all the other days we are available. And then the court sort of compiles all of that information and they issue what we call a lineup. But when we get the lineup, it will give us every day of that 2-week session and which cases made the lineup, meaning they are set to be heard on that day of that session.
Yes. Just play my car back, man. I called in for another appointment. I think you're going to be left here on time anyway. Look, I just want to get out the house, man. This man, on one, he feeling good. I don't know, shit, I'm trying to get my thing. Run over the house.